So we'll end up bringing that to like a staffing plan and any changes to negotiations committee. We don't have negotiations, but they're the group that looks at that first. Then we'll bring it to the whole board.
So we gotta see how
changes.
the budget is coming out, because that's an extra.
Got an update right now.
That's extra dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And then, facility use, we talked about, who has to pay, who don't have to pay, what do they have to pay, do we need custodians on hand, who's gonna pay, when are they gonna be there? So we need a definite policy on it, and right now there is none.
We have a policy.
Well, we got the old policy.
It's just old and needs to be updated, so that's, the discussion was, does the B&G committee want to have some input there? And the discussion was really, it's a policy, therefore we're going to kick it to the policy committee, and we have to schedule a policy committee meeting, so we'll talk about that in my report.
Okay, and at noon we cut her off, so it was a good morning.
We'll move right into the administrative report then.
Okay, so Mr. Fink discussed the bid day results, so everybody's a paper copy of that. This is right now a picture of the site. So they're working on all the land, moving all the land right now, and that's a significant project. So as Dick mentioned, the whole area is fenced in, so the bus port's officially closed off. And I mean, our traffic pattern's been decent, and maybe Bob might speak to it later, but you know, I think we're doing okay. And we're just gonna have to make some adjustments along the way, but the bus port's not gonna be that good. When the contractors are working on site, all the different subcontractors are gonna have a special tag right here. It says Spindorf subcontractor that they're gonna be required to wear. And we'll definitely have to make all the staff and students fully aware of this is what it looks like to have somebody on the job site. If they don't have that, then we do need to notify somebody in charge. There's a groundbreaking ceremony that's set for April 11th at 2:30. There's an e-vite that's going to go out using the school district email account tomorrow. And then we're going to start making some phone calls to key people here in town, inviting them to come as well. So everybody is invited to be there. They have hard hats specifically for board members. So that'll be fun. So the band's going to play, the Cardinal will be there, and just have some school spirit. And someone will speak from Bray, someone will speak from Findorf. I'll probably just make a couple of brief comments. And we've got some new resources that'll be on display as well. So that'll be located in the cafeteria. So especially with the weather, the way it is, we might be inside. So we'll see. Hopefully we can.
What time did you say it was?
2:30.
2:30.
The goal is so that students can participate in it, so rather than at night. And these just these are have to be proofed really quick before we spend the money to print them. But we've got
before, so
there's one for Parkview, one for the middle school, one for the high school. Those are our school emergency procedure flip charts, and it says in the event of a fire, here's what you do. In the event of a tornado, here's what you do. So we talked about the technology today. You know, there's an app for that, but you really can't make the assumption that everybody has a smartphone. They're not school district provided. So we decided countywide, all the schools are going with the flip chart to start out. And we do have these resources. Right now they're in a binder. And the binder, you'd have to turn to the page, and this is supposed to be more user-friendly. So we'll have one of those specific for each site located in every classroom. And then next would be talking about the different technology that's out there to support us in the event of an emergency. We found out through our police chief that there's an opportunity for us to get cell phones that will work in the event of an emergency. They're guaranteed to work. So we're going to purchase those. It'll be at a cost of like 50 cents a month for each phone. So they're not to be used, they're only supposed to be used in the event of an emergency. But we did have something that happened here in Mayville a few years ago, I heard, and when people tried to make calls, everything fell apart. So we now have an extender on the high school that has a better connection to the buses then for all of us, for our walkie-talkie system. And last spring we purchased a brand new walkie-talkie system for the buses. So I think we're definitely getting all these different pieces in alignment. One of the things that Dick mentioned was that at a federal level and a state level, there are grant dollars that have been, they're now available to support school safety initiatives. And one of the things is, so we're gonna meet with our police chief to kind of debrief and go through the documents. It's not that detailed, there's an application, but in the meantime, you answer these 5 questions it looks like and say what your budget is. You know, it's pretty loose as of this moment, but there's funds available. I think over the next couple of weeks, we'll start to learn more.
So what would we be leaning for? Having personnel in the schools or
I think
cameras or what's the?
Well, so here's, right now, I think what's really important is in the referendum, that was a very significant part of what the driving force for the referendum was, school security improvement. So we have a new safe, secure entrance that's being located at the high school to the front of one of the wings. And that addresses a major need for the high school. Then we have new surveillance at the high school, additional surveillance at the middle school. Parkview surveillance is good, it's brand new, we just put it in this last summer. It's got door monitoring systems where we'll know if a door is ajar. It's got the compartmentalization doors where like a panic button, and located in a few key spaces in the offices that in the event of emergency, push that button, panic doors close. I mean, we had a safety audit, a committee that looked at all of that, as well as safety specialists come and do an audit of the school, and we are following through with all of that. So I would look at what we're doing and seeing if we can apply for any dollars to support it. I think we're teed up and ready to go. We know the exact products and everything that are going to be going in. We have new door hardware on every single door in the schools so that the doors can be locked. Right now, the staff have to have a key with them in order to lock that door in the event of emergency. You know, what am I doing? So I think we've got a pretty comprehensive plan here, and now it's just let's get that in place. But then, I guess the part where, you know, we're looking at financial, how do we support it, would be the school resource officer. And I think we'd be excited with one full-time person for the school district, reality would be. But we'll see. So I think we need to get input from, now that we know this opportunity is there, come back together again, revisit, here's what all our plans are, and then say, okay, if we have prioritized funding, what would we be looking for? So, and I welcome the input from the board too. So if there's something that I just mentioned that, or I didn't mention, oh, have you thought about this? We welcome them. So we have scheduled a meeting with the police chief in like a week. So, Joe, you mentioned at the last board meeting strategic planning. Yes. So as a doctorate student and doing research on strategic planning, I reached out to one of my mentors, and they shared that there's about 5 options right now that they believe are good options for strategic planning, and that if you're interested, that I can contact the people who have the models and do the facilitation of it. So in every model that I've seen, they really want your superintendent kind of boots on the ground with the staff versus the superintendent leading the strategic plan. And then like every couple of years, somebody comes back to tweak it and adjust it, you know. So to me, I think it sounds very exciting, and I'd be 100% in it to do an RFP, have individuals, these individual entities come to the board, present, here's what their planning model looks like, here's what the product looks like in the end. Because the reality is, it's customized. You really don't want to just do something generic. Well, this worked over here. No, what's special about Mayville? What's the outcome that we're looking for? And really, what is the Board of Education looking for when you talk about a strategic?
I don't know if the rest of the board ought to be very interested in doing strategic planning and I don't know what we're doing. So what direction we're headed.
So, I guess I would need direction from the board on that one, on where I should go and where I should put my time. So,
Over the years, there's been strategic plans, there's been other names given to the same style of project.
so when I spoke to I called her my mentor, she definitely said, she's actually, right now, she's the president of AASA for the United States of America. So she's president of the United States for all the superintendents. I think she's got a pretty good background, you know. So I shared with her our sale work that we're doing, and just our experience this school year, and she said that that is totally teeing us up and getting us ready for that next step to work on a strategic plan. Like, great, because that's what I just said at the last meeting, so good job. So I think that that work is a 100-day planning cycle and definitely sets the stage for that next level of looking rather than at every 100 days, looking 3, 4, 5 years out. The one part that's difficult, I think, for any community right now is the uncertainty in funding in the state of Wisconsin.
I think.
But in the meantime, you still gotta say, hey, this is the path, this is the direction that we wanna go. So I can start doing some light work. Okay, sounds good. Policy committee. So the Board of Education has adopted Neola to help lead the policy world for us. So we just had, Jan and I had a meeting with our Neola advisor, and we are ready to go for a big policy update. So we need to have a committee meeting, and right now our committee members are Joe, Sherry, and Nora. So we need to get something on the calendar, and I would say in the month of April would be great. We just want to not get more bottlenecked. So the process is we go to the policy committee, you as a group give a stamp of approval to the updates, okay? And just make sure that you are able to speak to it, and you guys, you got this, right? And there's gonna be a lot of information, so we may have to have a couple meetings, you know, but it's okay, no worries. So we'll have a meeting, then from there, it'll get presented in my VA report, and that is considered first read. So it doesn't have to be a separate thing, hey, this is first read with approval. It just has to be presented to the entire board and transparent. So then, after it's in my VA report, the next board meeting, you can be up for approval, and we're all set. So then from there, they get uploaded into board docs. And right now, Janet's doing a great job with all of that. I'm just barely getting my fingers in that, and Janet's really taking the leadership of working in board docs. So I'm very thankful for the work that she's doing there. And then we just have to say, done, and then they'll get uploaded. So it's a really quick turnaround once the policies are approved. The other thing is that the administrative guidelines, so the administrators spent days with me this year working with Neola. It was a total of 5 days, like 8-hour days. And those guidelines are done. Now, it's my job to go through them, to proof them, and then once I say thumbs up, those just get turned on too. They're just waiting for that. So I just found that out right before break that those are ready to go. So what's great about the guidelines are that actually it says, here's our policy, now this guideline, these are our procedures on how we bring those policies to life. And so the practices are actually boots on the ground, making sure people are following those. Your practices, your procedures, which are your guidelines, and then your policies. One other thing I would say on policies would be is, from working with Richard last week, my best advice to everybody would be is the bylaws in the policies, those are literally for the Board of Education. That would be, I would recommend everybody, if you haven't had a chance to go through those, we have a very comprehensive policy book, but the bylaws, those are just for you. That's your stuff. So I would recommend if you haven't had a chance to, I'd go into the bylaws and just read through those and bring back any questions you have about those. We can talk about all those bylaws right here at the board meeting, but I'd recommend to do that. So can't take for granted, because I know Sherry's new, Joe, you're newer, right? You've been on the board for a year, and it's like we haven't talked so much about the bylaws. So it's like, hey, I definitely recommend everybody check those guys out. So
I sent you an email, so am I supposed to not send you an email when I have questions?
you can totally, absolutely, you
Just
can.
discuss it here.
You bet.
So I've been doing that already.
You
so
can for
that's
sure
why
send me
I
as many emails with questions as you
Yeah,
want.
you two can, but we can't get involved.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. Yep, and you can also, you can contact John too, as the board president. You can personally contact about that stuff.
Okay.
You bet.
You just can't send it to all of us.
Okay.
Yep, so you don't want it to be, if it's like a topic of discussion, if you have 4 board members in it, it's considered a walking quorum, and that's a violation of open records.
Okay.
So that's just the one you just got to pay attention to.
All right.
The one thing you can do in email with everybody is coordinate a meeting. So let's say we said, hey, right now, I know that there's a meeting conflict on May 7th because it is the scholarship night. It's our awards night for the spring. And we're either A, going to have a board meeting afterwards or have a board meeting the next day. Well, that we could do all in email. You can just go back and forth and do that. You just can't make decisions or be sharing opinions with each other on topics that using email. So, especially in more than 4 people. Becky is not able to be here tonight, so she has a Parkview report, and then I have Ryan's financial information to cover too. So I'll just go through Becky's report real quick. So they have, and she doesn't have a script here, so, but I do know that she's very thankful, the Parkview is, for Club Invention. So Club Invention is kind of our STEM program. They go and they tinker and they have just a lot of fun. And when you talk about fostering innovation at Parkview, this would be one of the big drivers for that. So our PTA helped to sponsor that, and I think she just wanted to make sure to recognize that. So they'll be working in the new makerspace next year versus the breakfast program. So very strong participation. So Parkview did have a breakfast program that was coordinated through donations. And last year, they came to me and said, hey, we're really thankful for the program, but this is a lot of work. You know, what are our options? And I said, well, hold on. We're actually looking at having a school-wide breakfast program. And then you don't, so as far as the funds go, people, if free and reduced lunch students get free breakfast. Otherwise, they pay the fee that the board approved for the breakfast program. The other version, just everybody, if they want it, they can have it. That's the downside. So, but there's great participation. She just wanted to highlight that something to celebrate at Parkview. I'm sure all kids have something nutritious to eat at the beginning of the day. So it looks like they're going to the theater to see Alice in Wonderland on April 11th to the West Bend Children's Theater. So that is at the Silver Lining Theater in West Bend. The PTA lip sync that I heard someone mention, I made sure to put it on the calendar. It's April 6th, this Friday at 6:30. And it really is elementary, middle school event, but everybody's welcome to come and I think you're welcome to participate in an act. And then you get a kick out of this. I don't think there's a video there, but literally they called it home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there's 2 otters that have called it home. They're big, 2 otters. So originally someone sent me a picture. The Loch Ness of Parkview. Yeah, okay. Oh, see, there is a video. Oh, it's not gonna work. But that one right there is just literally bathing out there. So, do we know if the otters are still there today?
I don't know why they move on.
Yeah. Well, that was right before. That was during break. Yeah, they probably went back to hibernation. Nice. So that's Becky's report, and we'll go on to Jen.
Any fish in that pond? It's blocked off.
If they were fishing that pond, I don't know what would have happened to them with a bunch of otters in there.
Gonna last long as
Yeah. And those otters, they didn't look exactly skinny, so.
I just have a couple things. Middle school track practice started today, and they did go outside, and all the kids were like, "You're gonna make us run?" Like, well, what do you think they're gonna make you? But I don't know what the numbers are, but track is growing in participation, and there's a lot of kids, which is awesome. Jessica Stortz, our teacher, and Becky Trosler, our 3rd grade teachers, several years ago, before Jessica, they had started this Original Works program where the kids do our projects and then they do them on a template, and then parents are able to order them in coffee mugs or mouse pads or different things. That's been a great fundraiser that's supported some of our additional art trips, art activities, including an art field trip to the Milwaukee Museum that'll be taking place this spring. They set a record, I believe this is the 4th or 5th year, but Jessica said there was like a 30% increase in orders this year, but our take was about $1,750, so they're pretty excited that be able to pay for that trip, and then that trip will start to be every year for the 5th grade classes. So it's nice that teachers are going out and finding additional ways to fund those things. The lip sync was already mentioned. If you've never been there, it is an experience to behold. Not the same as it used to be when we had board members involved, but it still ends up being a lot of fun. And Excitement, this Wednesday, Melissa Schneider organized an engineer day for all of our STEM classes. So we have, I believe, 4 different engineers that will be talking to each grade level, coming in and presenting to all the STEM classes about the world of engineering and getting into it. So kind of leading up to Dave's same idea of having having people come in. It's another one of our ACP activities that will be going on. And then next Thursday, I think I mentioned this last time, we'll be hosting, as you're aware, Canvas is our learner management system that we've been rolling out and getting up to speed. And we're a part of the Wisconsin user group of other area districts that from Pulaski to Mosinee, down to south of us, Kettle Moraine, and a lot of districts in between. And we'll be hosting this event, and we'll have several people here live, quite a few people here live, and then the rest will be able to join virtually. So we met with Oshkosh today virtually to do some of the planning, and I have another call with the lady from Pulaski who actually started this tomorrow. So, but again, it'll be nice to host that and have people coming into our facilities, and we're making great use of our collaboration room that we saw that's new. So it's pretty neat to have those resources. So.
Good, John.
Hey, good chair, Scott. Good chair. As we heard from the Buildings and Grounds Committee, the construction at the high school has started. And there's a picture outside of my window, looking out behind the high school, behind the gymnasium there. So the busport, the surface is gone. They started taking away the outdoor patio. So the construction has started. They've taken over a larger part of the parking lot than we had expected. And the reason for that is when they did the soil samples, they found a lot of good dirt underneath the parking lot, but not much of a substrate to support a parking lot. So what they were going to do is they were going to pull that dirt out, and that pile is there, and some of it's spread out in a depression down before you get to the hill going up to the upper football practice field. And that dirt will then fill that area in, that depression, in order to bring it up to the height. Using the dirt we have and then filling the spot where it was taken with gravel to create a nice base for a parking lot and entrance is much cheaper than purchasing dirt and bringing it in, according to Findorf, as I questioned why they were doing it that way. So the work has begun, and there's a lot of activity, keeping our lunches very captivated with the work right outside the windows there. So I'm very pleased to see that happening and some movement forward on that. Our FFA will be going to a competition this Friday up at the Fox Valley Technical College, and they are taking 5 teams to compete in 5 different FFA career development events. Our students will be showing their skills and knowledge in each of those events, and we are having students participate in dairy products, dairy cattle evaluation, wildlife, agriculture mechanics, and veterinary science. So this is the 2nd competition that our FFA teams have gone to participate in. The results of this competition will determine who goes on to the next level, which is a state, and we anticipate some of our teams going on to that level. I'll report as soon as I get that information. Our NHS had a fundraiser on Good Friday at a fish fry, and they had earned a little over $2,600 in that fundraiser, did very well. Our next NHS fundraiser is the wheelchair bowling fundraiser, and that's going to be held on April 13th, which is a Saturday coming up. There will be a 6 o'clock shift and a 10 o'clock shift. So if you get a team of 4 together and you want to participate, please contact Deb Nennick. They're looking for a few more teams for both the 6 and the 10 o'clock shift to participate in that fundraiser. The money for that fundraiser will support EMS and fire departments. You'll have a lot of fun and a lot of great prizes to win during the event as well. Our last math meet is coming up on Monday, April 9th. It will be held in Amro, and Mr. Erdman will be taking a group to compete at all levels in that high school math event. And as we heard, the blood drive collected 77 pints, and that was from 76 donors. And what that will result in, with the amount of blood we collected in our first blood drive through the Red Cross, we'll have $2,500 in scholarships available for our seniors for this year. So I think they go out in $500 increments, And so I believe 5 students will receive a $500 scholarship from the Red Cross because of our student council and their organizing of the blood drive this year.